Hello students, welcome to class 6 Science. Chapter 4 Sorting Materials into Groups. Objects around us. We saw that our food and clothes have so much variety in them. Not just food and clothes, there is such a vast variety of objects everywhere. We see around us a chair, a bullock cart, a cycle, cooking utensils, books, clothes, toys, water, stones, and many other objects. All these objects have different shapes, colors, and uses. Look around and identify objects that are round in shape. Our list may include a rubber ball, a football, and a glass marble. If we include objects that are nearly round, our list could also include objects like apples, oranges, and other picture. Suppose we were looking for objects that are edible. Let us say we wish to make a group of objects that are made of plastics. Buckets, lunch boxes, toys, water containers, pipes, and many such objects may find a place in this group. There are so many ways to group objects. In the above example, we have grouped objects on the basis of their shape or the materials they are made of. All objects around us are made of one or more materials. These materials may be a glass, metal, plastics, wood, cotton, paper, mud, or soil. Let us collect as many objects as possible from around us. Each of us could get some everyday objects from home, and we could also collect some objects from the classroom or from outside the school. What have we collected? Chalk, pencil, notebook, rubber, duster, a hammer, a nail, soap, spoke of a wheel, bat, matchbox, salt, potato. We can also list objects that we can think of but cannot bring it to classroom. For example, wall, trees, doors, tractor, road. Separate all objects from this collection that are made from paper or wood. This way, we have divided all objects into two groups. One group has the objects that are made from paper or wood, while the other group has the objects that are made from these materials. Similarly, we could separate the things that are used for preparing food. Let us be more systematic and list all the objects we have collected into a table. Properties of materials. Have you ever wondered why a tumbler is not made of with a piece of cloth? We generally use a tumbler to keep a liquid. Therefore, would it not be silly if we were to make a tumbler out of a cloth? What we need for a tumbler is glass, plastic, metal, or other such materials that can hold water. Similarly, it would not be wise to use a paper-like material for cooking vessels. We see then that we choose a material to make an object depending on its properties and the purpose of which the object is to be used. Appearance. Materials usually look different from each other. Wood looks very different from iron. Iron appears different from copper or aluminium. At the same time, there may be some similarities between iron, copper, and aluminium that are not there in wood. Hardness. When we press different materials with your hands, some of them may be hard to compress, while the other can be easily compressed. Take a metal key and try to scratch with it the surface of a piece of wood, aluminium, or a piece of stone, a nail, candle, chalk, any other material or objects. You can easily scratch some materials, while some cannot be scratched so easily. The materials which can be compressed or stretched easily are soft, while other materials which are difficult to compress are called hard. Soluble or insoluble. Collect samples of some solid substances such as sugar, salt, chalk powder, sand and sawdust. Take 5 glasses or beakers. Fill each of one of them about 2/3 with water. Add a small amount, a spoonful of sugar to the first glass, salt to the second, and similarly add small amounts of other substances in other glasses. Stir the contents of each of them with a spoon. Wait for a few minutes. Observe what happens to the substances added to the water. You will notice that some substances have completely disappeared or dissolved in water. We say that these substances are soluble in water. Other substances do not mix with water and do not disappear even after we stir for a long time. These substances are insoluble in water. We notice that some liquids get completely mixed with water. Some others do not mix with water and form a separate layer when kept aside for some time. Some gases are soluble in water, whereas others are not. Water usually has small quantities of some gases dissolved in it. For example, oxygen gas dissolved in water is very important for the survival of animals and plants that live in water. Objects may float or sink in water. You might have noticed that insoluble solids separated out of the water. There are some solids which sink in water. There are these materials which do not mix with water but float on the surface of water. Dried leaves fallen on the surface of a pond. A stone that you throw into a pond. A few drops of honey that you let fall into a glass of water. What happens to all these? Transparency. You might have played the game of hide and seek. Think of some places where you would like to hide so that you are not seen by others. Why do you choose those places? Would you have tried to hide behind a glass window? Obviously not, as your friend can see through that and spot you. Can you see through all the materials? No. The substances or materials through which things can be seen are called transparent. Glass, water, air, and some plastics are such examples of transparent materials. Shopkeepers usually prefer to keep biscuits, sweets, and other eatables in a transparent container of a glass or a plastic so that buyers can easily see these items. On the other hand, there are some materials through which you are not able to see. These materials are called opaque. You cannot tell what is kept in a closed wooden box, a cardboard, a carton, or a metal container. Take a sheet of paper and look through it towards a light bulb. Now, put 2 to 3 drops of oil and spread it on a sheet of paper. Look again towards the lighted bulb through the portion of the paper on which the oil is spreaded. Do you find that the bulb is more clearly visible than before? But can you see clearly through the oil paper? Is everything on the other side of it is visible? Perhaps not. The materials through which objects can be seen but not clearly are known as translucent. We can therefore group materials as opaque, transparent and translucent.